Hello. Oh, my microphone's way over there. Oh, that was annoying. Hello. How's everybody doing tonight? Hello, Andre. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Hamsons. Welcome to the stream as well. How are my audio levels? Does the music sound okay? Voice sound okay? They too loud and overpowering? Mic check 1 2 3. Haircut check 1 2 3. Hey, Dad, welcome to the stream, too. Thank you, Andre. I feel great. I have a cup of water, I don't know where to put it. I'll put it right there. Just looking a couple things over. Tonight we are working on the Hydra. I need to pull up our reference image. Hydra, Hydra, everywhere. Hello, ANMCC. Alright, let's swap over to painting here. Oh, look at there's corgis. There's our little corgis. Little fluffy doggy dogs. That's these guys. That's what we painted last time. But we're all done with them now, so now they need to go away. There we go. Put the corgis over here. Put them next to Fang and Ferdinand. Other dogs. Alright, you reference images. I need to turn off you. And you. There we go. There's our Hydra. Big scary boy. All right, well, we're going to jump right into the stream. Here's our base for him. Actually, I like this one better. Here's our Hydra. Big guy here. I'm going to move my mic up just a little bit. I'm going to mute this for a second so it doesn't pop. One of these days I'll get a good mic position that I like. I just don't like where it's at Now I'm going to move it back. Pre-Noah's flood. Did they have hydras back then? Alright, so we got him highlighted, primed, highlighted, and then base coated in this yellow. I sure hope he doesn't. That'd be scary. Okay, and we're gonna do some... Oh, I'm getting some stutters on my camera. Hold on a second. I'm gonna change this over to USB. There we go. We got our brush. We have our corgi colors. I'm totally lost on what you mean by doesn't procreate. Hydras are mythological creatures that don't actually exist, just in case you're wondering. Alright, so we're going like, let's see here, we've got a lot of red in the mouth. We've got these greens and almost browns on the back. Brown would make sense, brown is dark yellow. And then like these like stripy green things. I wonder if we should maybe put a little bit of a dark green down. I'm trying to think of like a game plan. Put a little bit of the dark green down. Maybe we could like feather it in. Hey, Brad Chan the fanboy, welcome to the stream. How are you doing tonight? Don't have sons and daughters. Too late, I already do. And I'm not giving them back. I'm keeping them. They're my favorite. I know what you mean. I'm just being silly. Well, now you're doing something. Nothing really. Now you're doing something. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do like... I think I'm gonna do like this forest green, because that's kind of more brown. It's more of a brown green. I've got this dark green, but it's more of a bluish green. Alright. Yeah, I think this is going to be a good green. I've been meaning to experiment with this too. This is Flow Improver. You use it to thin down paints for airbrushes. And I don't have any like actual acrylic paint thinner, so I've been thinking that I could maybe thin down some of these paints with Flow Improver as opposed to water. I think that would work a little better. We'll give it a try. That is too much paint on my paintbrush. But I like this color. My man. So this Hydra is really not going to... I don't think it's going to have much left on it, to be quite honest. I'm going to start at the very beginning. It's the Very best place to start. I'm gonna go down the back. Or maybe on the tail. Wish my brush was facing the other way, so I could get these little stippling lines in here. Not stippling, but like these feathering lines. If you can use your the tip of your brush to kind of break in these little lines, it gives it this rigid edge. That was the word that I was looking for. And I think this flow improver is actually working out. It's pretty good. Pretty good thinner. So this right here, this is the green. It might not look like it. It might almost look like the dark yellow shadow, but it is green. It's just very close in color, because yellow and blue is green. So green already has a lot of yellow in it. This is also a bit of a brown green. And as we know, brown is just dark yellow. He is, Dad. For those of you who don't know, Jesus Lord of All is my dad. Both, after I say that, that sounds like you could be taking a couple different ways. I do mean that the user, whose username is Jesus Lord of All, is my dad. And then outside of this feathered edge, I'm going to do some stippling. And I don't think we've done stippling yet on the stream. So we'll talk about that when we get there. Yeah, where's Lucrum? Is my princess in another castle? I need my moderator to keep you crazy folks in line. So in case you missed it, we actually live streamed one of our D&D games on Thursday. We had a couple friends, a couple players out, and we decided to stream the game so that they could watch. The quality is not the same as like Critical Role or some other very high production quality stream, but if you missed it, the VOD will be up for 2 weeks. That's how long they last before they get cycled out. If I were to get affiliate, I think they would last for like a couple months. But I'm just a little old beginner streamer. So right now I'm just laying down the foundations of the details. Yeah, you interested? Like, did you watch the stream, Andre? Did you enjoy it? I know, man. It's really fun. I was talking to Brad a little earlier. Uh-oh. You know what? You know what? Basinjin 0013. I don't want to become famous. And I definitely don't want to buy followers, primes, or views. I just don't want to do that. I'd rather grow on my own merit. And that if people like my content, they can choose to do all the like, follow, subscribe, blah blah blah, all of that kind of stuff of their own volition. I don't want to game any system. I don't want to pay money to make myself feel better about the quality of my content. I just want to paint minis, have fun at the table, bring my players lots of fun. Yeah, we need a mod in here to take care of that, to get that booger banned. Save us, Lukram. Help us, Lukram Chen. You're our only hope. So, Andre, I was talking to Brad, and Brad too. I was talking to Brad a little earlier about how the game might be. So, you remember our game, the home game that you were in with Fang? I had like a campaign 2 planned. Like after you guys finished everything with Wolfric, I had a campaign 2 planned that involved going to the Feywild and helping Resphira's dad. Well, this current game, Resphira is in it. Amanda's playing that character. You saw the stream, so you know she's there. And it looks like if the players so choose, it might be turning into that campaign 2. And I was telling Brad that it would be really cool if these parties joined up, because a couple of our players are having a hard time. Like they have work schedules and they can't play all the time, and it'd be really cool to have some of the old party as like guest characters. Winoa and her airship crew could sail in and help out with this adventure. And I'd love to have you guests play with Fang. We'll have to see if the adventure turns that way or not. But I know that Thalaniel is on the move, and I know he's on the ship with everybody. I do. He's a friend. I'm not sure I like this, but it looks like there's these dark tips to the spikes on the back of its. Maybe I do. I got to keep reminding myself it looks crappy until it looks good. And this is also just the first layer. I think I'm going to just do the spines on the back just to see how I like the effect. And then we'll apply it. Like I was going up that head, but I think I'd like to figure the effect out here first before doing it on the rest of the heads. Just kind of using the edge of my brush, kind of hitting them with just the edge. You paid for the whole brush, but you'll only need the edge. Monster brush madness. Oh, that's amazing. I didn't even think about that joke all the way through, and I'm painting a monster with it. That's a spoof off of the old Monster Truck Madness video game. It was supposed to, they did a commercial for it that was supposed to be like a Monster Truck Madness rally. And it was like, you paid for the old seat, but you'll only need the edge. I mean, only you would know if you know. You know? Alright, I'm going to do a little bit of stippling here. So the way that stippling works, I have a brush, this brush right here. You'll notice that this is also a number 8 round brush, but I've cut the top of it. This one got frayed and used up and whatnot, and it's just not really good anymore. And so I cut the top of it off, and the way that stippling works is you use the tip. Get a little paint on there, like this, and this is essentially what you're going to do. You're going to go tit 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 like that, and you go pop 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 pop, and it makes these little dot marks. And it makes it look splotchy and patterned. Because we're kind of going for like a rough reptile skin. And he's kind of got dots and stuff. Lucram! I missed you, my man. We need you to take care of Basingen 0013. Fashionably late. One might also say that a wizard never arrives late. He arrives precisely when he intends to. I'm going to go down some of these legs a little bit, following this pattern on the top, almost like dinosaur freckles. That's one way of thinking about this. It's funny, this green is actually kind of looking like some of the black that's underneath the highlight. Yeah, you missed a big follows. We were all waiting for you, man. It's okay, we still love you. You're still our favorite mod. Still my favorite mod. Can't speak for everybody else. Let's hear it in the chat. Who likes Lucram as our mod? You know, if he's going to be a little late, maybe we need a maybe we need an assistant mod. You have the best emotes. I'm going to use my stipple brush here to kind of almost dry brush some of these little guys up here. Yeah, I think that's actually going to work out better to do it that way. I think I've got a plan. I might not. kind of like the dirty look that it's... Not the dirty look like, ugh, I hate you. But like how it looks dirty. That it's giving them. Because these guys are like swampy. At least I'm kind of envisioning them like nasty, dirty, in a jungle. Almost like big, long-necked, multi-headed alligators. And less of like the sitting in some, you know, Ulysses, Grecian temple, you know, not that kind of Hydra. This is more like in a swamp. Or like in a big jungle forest or something. So initially what we did was we primed it with black. And that was the first step. The primer helps the paint to stick well. And then what we did was a zenithal highlight, where we actually took a very, very bright, very vibrant, almost snow white. And we sprayed it with an airbrush down the top. Just straight down on top of it. And that gives like this really light highlight to it. Kind of makes it look like sunlight's shining down from the top. And then I base coated the whole thing in yellow. And if you notice, like this head, it's really yellow, but like the inside of the mouth is black. And underneath, it's like a darker yellow. Well, that's because this light part here is actually the white shining through. This yellow is kind of clear. So the white underneath shows as bright yellow. The black underneath from the primer shows as a dark yellow. So it gives you some built-in highlights and shadows. And then I'm painting the details on top of the yellow now. Because this thing's kind of yellow, but it's also kind of like brown and green, and it looks just kind of muddy and dirty right now, but once it'll start tying together once we get some other colors on here. I'm really just kind of developing this technique as I'm going and kind of playing it by ear. I have a little bit of a plan. I will say I'm a fan of that flow improver as thinner. I'm going to have to use some more of that in the future. That's a lot of K-pop emotes. I think we definitely need an assistant moderator who has significantly less K-pop emotes. I need to make myself some emotes. Lucrum, when can we make emotes? Do you know what we need to do before we can get emotes? Ah, affiliate. Well, if you guys want cool emotes, I'll leave that to you to help build the channel up to that. I was looking at the stats the other day just to kind of see where it was, and we're about halfway there. Right now we just need more followers. I think I'm halfway to 50. An emote is those little pictures. The emojis. They call them emotes, which are short for emoticons, which is what were originally used before emojis were developed. Emoticons used to actually be like emoticons are like where it's like colon and then close in parentheses. Closed parentheses for like a smile. Like where you just make them with text. So the way that affiliate works is you need a couple things. You need to stream like within a 30-day period. You need to stream for so many hours. I stream enough that I think it's like 7 hours within 30 days. And I do that one just fine because I stream twice a week. You also need 50 followers. And like I said, I think I'm in like the 20s right now. And then the third thing you need to happen is you need to have an average of 3 people viewing your stream, like all the way through, for every stream within that 30-day period, just to have an average viewership. And the concurrent viewers, from what I've heard, is the difficult one. And the last I looked, I was at like 2.8, something like that. So just below 3. But the big hurdle right now, like if that's been slowly creeping up, the big hurdle right now is getting 50 followers. And there have been some lovely people following. The folks at Winged Badger Gaming have been fantastic. I've actually really enjoyed getting to know them. I've been watching their stream, and we did like a little collab thing with them where I painted a winged badger. Where is it? Here it is. We found a mini for their winged badger. And this is the colors, the cyan and magenta, like the blue and the red, are like the colors of their channel. They're really nice folks. Alright, so we got dirty heads. I think I'd like to do a little bit more. And I want to darken this down a little bit. Bloop. So it's like, I mean, affiliate would be cool because it's like once you cross the threshold, then you can do some things. You can like add ads. I would also get to like make people VIPs. So I plan, like if I ever do hit affiliate, I would make all of my original viewers VIPs, and you get some special stuff for that. Oh wow, hey, I'm tired. Can I go to sleep? Luke Rum is a pretty great mod. Do you know him from another channel? And welcome to the stream. We're painting the entire monster manual, and tonight we're doing the Hydra. Luke Rum is a really great mod. I'm going to try and stipple a little bit more with this. You know, in all seriousness, you know, I poke fun at Luke Rum a little bit here and there. But his knowledge of Twitch has really been invaluable. I've talked to him quite a bit off stream about what, you know, about Twitch culture and what things are important and what people care about and stuff like that. He's got a lot of really good knowledge. Oh, you did. You got me, you rascal. You're in your alt accounts. I thought that was like somebody from another stream you moderated, because I know you told me that you moderated a couple, like another stream, or at least did for a while. Well, here I am singing your praises to you. You really, your knowledge on Twitch really has been valuable, though. Like I wasn't joking about that. You rascal. This is why people really come to the stream, to see your shenanigans, not mine. They don't. I just provide the background noise. Your shenanigans is really where it's at. Yeah, this dark green is really doing some good for this. It's almost like I'm thinking that, like, if it's underwater, because these things can breathe underwater for a long time. Like, if it's underwater for a long time and it comes up out of the water, like all of the moss and nasty stuff from the swamp is gonna like be sitting on its back, um, and like its underbelly is still gonna be like the bright yellow where it's like unaffected. It's still looking a little chalky, but once we put a wash on it, that'll help out with that too. I'm almost kind of doing this stippling a little bit like a dry brush. Need a little bit more. Accidentally tapped some of that brown without thinking about it, and it lightened it up. What brand of wash do I use? Good question. I can never remember the name. I think it's Citadel. Citadel. Yes. But I believe Citadel is like the line of paints and washes. I believe the brand is actually Games Workshop. I could be wrong on that though. But if you search Amazon for like Citadel wash, it'll come up pretty easily. And I think I've talked about it before. You can make your own wash with just black craft paint, a little bit of dish soap, and some water. You just thin the paint down with water so it's like really liquidy. Or rather, you have a thing of water, like a mason jar of water, and you put a little bit of black paint or put some black paint in it till it gets really dark, and then you put some dish detergent in it, like a drop of Dawn dish soap, to act as a surfactant, and it works really well. It's not the best because it doesn't have a lot of pigment in it. It can look a little splotchy, but if you're wanting to tinker around with stuff without putting a lot of money down on washes, then it'll get your foot in the door. I still use. Let's see. I think I have. Yeah. Here's some wash that I made that I still have. Just keep it in a little mason jar. Shake it up. It separates because of the paint. And I use that for like my terrain. So I would have used that wash for... Get out of the way there, bud. I would have used it for this. because I'm not going to use this expensive little bottle of wash all over this entire thing. You know, I cut up nearly an entire 4x8 sheet of this stuff into terrain, and so I'm not going to buy Nuln Oil at $7 a bottle for this. So for this kind of stuff, I still even use that wash. Colors of wash, so that's kind of like your artistic prerogative. If you don't feel like you need different colors of wash, then you don't really need different colors of wash. I do like a couple different colors of wash. And I've talked about it before, but we kind of elaborate. Yeah, I do have a big drawer of different washes. Now, technically, these are not all washes. And we're actually going to use one of these. So this is not a wash. This is called a contrast paint. Yeah, these are all contrast paints. And contrast paints are like, they're in between a paint and a wash. They'll go on thick and smooth like a paint, but they also have some of the properties of a wash where they'll sink into the crevices and cracks and create shadows. So if you know what you're doing, you can, it doesn't really make your painting look better. It's faster because you don't have to base coat it and then wait for that to dry and then wash it. If you plan it right and use it right, you could just like paint pants on a dude, and it looks nice. These they're semi-transparent. The Cygor brown really isn't, but like the snakebite leather is kind of like glazy. It's like transparent, and so it works really good if you're doing a zenithal highlight. So you could like paint a dude's paint like this guy here. See this leather on this guy's like shoulders and stuff? That is just a single, that was the white from the zenithal highlight, like this. And with a single coat of this on it. So it has like these nice highlights and shadows. That's from the contrast paint. You get, because I had those highlights and shadows underneath already, and then it helped with the shadows some more because it's kind of got a wash built into it. This one here, that's a wash. That's not the one I was looking for. This one here, this is called Blood for the Blood God. Not too keen on the name. And we're actually going to use some of this, but this is called a technical paint. And this looks like blood. Like, if I put it across my fingers, it would look like blood on my fingers. It stays very vibrant red. It's shiny. You know, it's kind of got a gloss to it, so it looks like blood. I've used it once. Where are they? I used it on my gnolls, because gnolls are really gross and really nasty, and they're just terrible, ravenous hyena people who just eat because they're cursed and not because for their sport or anything. So this is a gnoll, and this actually has some contrast paint on it too for the highlights and whatnot. I mean, for the shadows. That's a gnoll, right? Kind of neat, kind of cool looking. This is a gnoll with blood on his weapons. And see how that, like, see the shine on the shield? But, like, it doesn't have much of a shine, but that blood does. Here's another one. And it just looks like he chopped his axe through something. Like, it even looks like it's ponded up there, like it's really thick and drippy. And you can do some things where you take, like, you dip a stipple brush like this into it, and then you go You drop it on the ground. No, that's not what you do. You take it and you go, you kind of flick it, you go, pew, pew, and it makes like blood spray. So like with this one, I kind of went like this across it to make it look like it cut into something. And then I took the stipple brush and went like pew, 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 so it looks like it hit, and then it like sprayed blood on him. No, gnolls are gross. You don't want to play a gnoll. See, and this one's kind of cool too, because like it's thin enough where you can see the jagged, sharp bone underneath. But it just looks bloody. Like it just does a really good job of looking like blood. I haven't used it very much, just really on those gnolls. But I'm probably gonna put some on this Hydra's mouth. Gnolls are gross, man. Like they kind of have a cool factor where it's like, oh, big thing with nasty weapons and whatnot. They're gross. They're really gross. They hunt and kill and eat just because they can. They're super evil. They're known for just like picking people out of a village and just eating, like chopping them up and eating them. And they only they're not even hungry. Like they have an unending hunger, and will just kill and eat and consume, and they'll never get full. And they're just like a scourge. They're almost like hyena locusts. They're just a scourge on civilization. Yeah, they're I mean, next character right there. Yeah, I mean, if that's your cup of tea, then you and I need to have a talk later because, ooh, yikes. But they make for really cool threats and monsters for heroic people to kill, because that's a terrible thing if a pack of gnolls are cruising through the countryside trying to destroy every town and kill it and eat everything in their wake. Alright, I think we got him nice and nasty and mucked up here. I'm going to put a... Do I want to put a wash on him? Yes. No. No, not yet. I want to do a beastie brown. I want a reddish brown. We're going to stipple a little bit of this on here. Just a little bit. And then we'll wash him. And then we'll do some detail. Just a little bit, though. I don't want to outshine that black. I just want to throw some dirty reddish brown in there. Yeah. He was looking too monotone. If you see me patting it with my thumb, that's like if I do it too thick, you can sometimes dab some of it off. No, that's too much on his head. I want it to look dark on his head. A little bit more. And I like to put it on my hand palette here. So we're gonna wash it pretty soon. I'll show you in a minute, unless somebody wants to explain. A wash is yeah, we'll do it here in a minute. It's easier to show. But it's not like I'm gonna dunk it in a tub and wash it. It's like I'm applying a thing called a wash to it. That's too much. So I'm putting this on my hand palette over here just to kind of spread the paint around the brush a little bit. I don't want big, thick blops of brown. I kind of want just dusty patches here and there. At least that's the effect I'm kind of going for. Washing is where the magic is too. Once you start washing a mini, it really starts to tie it together. And my last name is Wash, and my username is Wash Brunello. So wash is where the magic is. Ba-dum-bum. There we go. Yeah, I think he's starting to look really cool. I think he's kind of got some neat contrast there. I like the bright yellow underbelly in contrast with the with the dark black on the top and stuff. I think that looks really cool. You know, I'm gonna do a little bit of brown underneath. Just a little bit. So the general process, the question is, do you always wash after new paint? I'm not sure what you mean by new paint, but my process is typically prime it, highlight it, which we already talked about with the Zenithal highlight, and then I will... He needs a little bit more black on the back of these heels. And then I'll base coat it, which is like what I've been doing, getting it yellow. Or which I did, yeah, when I got the thing all yellow. And then after that is detail, which is what we're doing right now. This kind of stuff right here is detailing. Actually, I take that back. Most of the time after I base coat it, then I'll wash it, and then I'll put details on top of it. Because if you don't want to paint an eye and then put a wash on top of it, because that'll darken the eye. It'll like mess with the eye effect. So I normally wash and then I do a detail. But since this this Hydra, it doesn't have like the base coat is just the yellow. Normally I'm dealing with minis that are like this. And I'll base coat all of the different parts of the clothes and the hair and the shield and the book and the gloves and the pants, and then I'll wash all of those, and then I'll put highlights on top of them. So like the details, so I'll put like highlights on the hair, or paint the eyes in, or do the belt, or do the whatever. But since this Hydra's a little different, since he's not wearing pants, so this is kind of detailing, but yeah. Oh no, this thing is just huge. Like this, it's got a 3-inch base. Normally a mini, like a human-sized mini, is a 1-inch base. So this guy is like that. So these aren't tiny, these are normal sized. This is huge. Do I have a Discord link? So I made a Discord, but I'm not ready to release it. I need to do some work on it. So anyway, so this is kind of detail work, but I'm not ready to wash it without putting all this stuff on yet, because I kind of want this stuff to be washed too. All right. Okay, so let's pop this up for a second. Let's pull out a wash. I'm thinking he's yellow, black, green. I'm thinking a dark wash. Not Reichland Flesh Shade. Agrax Earth Shade. We're going to use Agrax. This is a dark brown wash. Now, Andra, you asked a little earlier about just having one color wash. You can. You can just use one color wash. And if you're going to use one color, like if you can only afford one, or if you just want to start out with one, Get you some Nuln Oil. It doesn't even have to be this big. The one that I started with was like this size. This is, what size is this? This is 24 milliliters. This one here. This one is 12, so it's like half size. It's a smaller bottle. And I used it all up, and so I got a big one because I was like, you know, I'm using this a lot. But that's the one that I started with. Nuln Oil. Nuln. Nuln. But here's the thing, is that a wash, it seeps down into the crevices. So like this, there's a crevice right along his neck. You can kind of see it in the light. You can see it like it goes down there like that. And you want there to be a shadow there. But see, like I have to turn it in the light just right for you to see it. There's not much of an actual shadow cast from actual light. And one of the things when you're making miniatures, and this isn't just for Dungeons and Dragons miniatures, this is like if you're into model trains or if you're into like model airplanes or whatever, is you're trying to make a very small thing look like a big thing. And light behaves differently at small scales than it does at large scales. So like shadows, for instance, the way that light casts across stuff, like if this thing was huge, that would be a big fold and wrinkle on its neck, and it would draw a lot more shadow. And so what we need to do is we need to sweeten the shadows a little bit. We need just to make them a little deeper, like paint a shadow on, so that when the actual light shines in there, it creates a darker shadow than what would be naturally. We're trying to mimic what it would look like if it was bigger. Same thing with highlights. And so one of the things that we can do with that is we can put a wash on. Now, when it comes to light, highlights, and shadows, you need to know a little bit about color theory. I like to paint assuming that there is a bright sunlight up here shining down. So my light source is coming down from the top. This might be different if, for instance, so here's an example of one that I didn't do very good because I'm not really practiced at it and I don't know well. But this little guy here, this is an Azer. He's like this bronze fire elemental who is like a blacksmith, so he's got like a little hammer. And so he's got like a fire beard and he's got fire on his hammer. And you know, it looks like fire, kinda. I mean, it's obviously not going to look exactly like fire because it's a painted solid object, and fire is, you know, you can put your hand through fire, right? It's not solid. But it also doesn't look like that fire is shining light anywhere else. Like that fire should be casting light all over his chest. The fire from his beard should be like hitting the side of his hammer and lighting that up. And so it looks a little flat because this flames here, these aren't light sources. They're not casting light on anything. So typically what I do is I have a sunlight shining down on top, and that's the way I paint. I'll put highlights on top because that's where the sun is shining down. I don't put highlights underneath. The sun's not shining underneath. But if you're painting with a different light source, so like if you were to put him on a base with glowing crystals, you might want to that were blue, you might want to put blue highlights underneath where the light is shining up towards. All that being said, is that when you're painting with daylight, your light is bright white, but also kind of warm. And my shadows aren't black. Like what are shadows? Shadows are the absence of light, right? So if my sunlight is shining down on the top, then there's not light shining on the bottom. So what would the bottom look like, right? Their light diffuses, like if I put my hand like this, you know, you can still see my hand even though there's, you know, it's behind the shadow, right, of this light. So there's light coming from other directions. And typically when you're outside, you get daylight coming down from the top, but then the sky is blue, right? There's ambient light coming from the sky, and that blue light is shining all over the place, and it's reflecting up underneath off stuff and whatnot. So your shadows tend to be a little cooler, and they tend to, and then your highlights tend to be warmer. So for example, if I was to use this green, it's not mixed up very well. If I was to use this green here as my base color, I would use this as my highlight because it's a bit more yellowish. It's a bit like, not only is it bright, like I could darken it down, but the brightness doesn't matter as much as how yellow it is, because yellow is warmer. Like reds and oranges and yellows are warmer colors. Blues and greens and purples are cooler colors. So this would be a good highlight. This color here, this is a very bluish green. Like, it is darker, but it's also got a bluish tinge to it. That would be a good shadow. And so, following through with that example, I painted these little animated bushes. He's like, yum, 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 yum. And you'll notice I painted them green, but they almost have like a yellowish on top. And underneath, it's a bit bluish. And it kind of makes it look like light, like there's sunlight shining down on the top. Now, if you'll notice something, I put a little wash on it to show the crevices on the leaves. I put a yellow, like a warm wash. I believe I used either Seraphim Sepia, but I actually may have used this Cassandra yellow. I may have used that and just dabbed it a little bit in there because I wanted to make it warmer. Because these washes, they're not paint. They're transparent. You can see through them, and so it's going to tint and change the green, like the paint underneath, and shift it towards the color rather than coat it. So that's kind of like one of the tricks that you can do with different colored washes. Is you can think of, if I take this cat and it's white and black, and I just paint it with a brown wash, it's going to look tan and really brown black. Like it's going to tint that. It's like it's going to dye it almost. And so a black wash is good. It's a nice general one because it creates darkness, it creates shadows. And black is a very cool color. But what if you want to wash the top of your mini? You don't want the top of it to look cool. You want the top of it to look warm, because this is going to be like all over the place. So there's just different use cases for it. I would start with Nuln Oil just because it's a really good basic one to get used to. But this Agrax Earthshade is a dark brown wash. Normally my bread and butter washes are Nuln Oil and Seraphim Sepia, because Seraphim Sepia is like, it's like a tan. You can put it on white and it comes out like a nice tan, a nice cream. And so it's really good for light stuff. If you have like a guy in a white cotton shirt and you put Nuln Oil on him, it's going to look grainy and like gray and speckly. Like it's too much of a contrast between the light paint and the dark wash. If that answers your question. I hope that answers your question. I'm afraid, I'm mildly terrified that I'm going to end up using all of my Agrax Earthshade washing this mini, because this thing is it's so big. Let's start with a head. And you can see here, as I'm kind of brushing this on, it's like it's sticking inside of his nostril there, right? It likes to grab onto the little crevices and seep into those cracks. And see how it's grabbing onto that little crevice down the side of his neck. And it's gonna tint the whole thing. It's gonna dye the whole thing dark, just a little bit. So you have to be wise with which you're going to use, like which wash you're going to use, because it will affect the paint color. When I'm base coating and painting, I like to make sure that the whole model is brighter is much lighter than the end product is going to be. It's like, is this yellow like way too bright? If it's way too bright, then it's just right because it'll get darkened down by the wash. If it looks just right, I probably need to make it brighter. And you can put it on thick. You do want to make sure that if you're washing a mini, that it is that you coat all of it, like not the entire mini. So like this is a bad example because this whole thing is, he's all covered in skin. But like if you were to be painting like a person and his pants are brown and his shirt is blue, and you're gonna wash the blue shirt, make sure you wash the whole blue shirt. You can get what I call a coffee stain ring, where if the edge of where you have washed dries and you haven't painted, like if you haven't washed the whole thing, it'll leave a dark mark. So like for instance, you can kind of see right there where I left a line. If I leave that to dry before I come back and paint the rest of it, and I wash the rest of it here, it'll have like a dark mark there because the wash hasn't blended together yet. If you still work with it and wash it while it's still liquid, it'll get all smooth together and have like a nice finish. I don't know the term. I feel like I'm searching for words that I don't know the name of. I hope that makes sense. Andre, if you would like to paint a mini, like to get into mini painting, you are more than welcome to come over to my house sometime and just use my paint case. I can even show you like I can have a mini painted for, or like printed for you, or we can work together and get you a mini printed to paint. So I'm not washing the mouths because I'm going to be painting red details inside of the mouth. There's no reason for me to paint like to make them more brown if I'm going to be making them red. Just like if I were to be like painting a guy's pants blue, right? And his shirt is red, I'm not going to put that red wash on his pants because his pants are supposed to be blue. So I'm just kind of steering clear of that. I mean, I could. It'd just be a waste, and I'm already using a bunch of this wash on this guy anyway. But yeah, you'd be more than welcome. You're more than welcome if you want to come over sometime and paint a mini. If you want to, we could even stream it, and I could like show you the ropes. I really like painting minis. It's so relaxing and it's so chill, and it's one of the things that I really like about Dungeons and Dragons. I really like playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I really like, being the dungeon master and like coming up with the stories and adventures and stuff. But one of the things I really like about Dungeons and Dragons is that it's got so many art forms attached to it. There's mini painting, there's story writing, there's world building, there's practicing funny accents. If you like to do funny accents, you can do that too. Improv, comedy, writing puzzles. There's just a lot to it. You don't need all of those things to play Dungeons and Dragons, but it can include a lot of different fields of creativity. So you've been researching it a bunch, huh? So there's a bunch of really good mini painters out there. A couple that I would recommend are Miniac, Miniac. He's really, really good. Goobertown Hobbies, I'll give him a shout out. Brent, I think is his name. He's a super nice guy. He's, people have been saying that I've got like a really soothing and chill voice. Goobertown Hobbies, man, that guy, he is, if his personality is even an eighth as smooth as his voice is, he's the nicest person on the planet. They would do more, like they wouldn't necessarily paint Dungeons and Dragons minis. It's more like miniature painting in general. They do a lot of Warhammer, and other miniature games. You might not realize, but there's like a lot of games out there that just deal with miniatures. But there'd be some great ones that have some very good high, like introductory, but also like high level technical videos on YouTube. A lot of the stuff that I've learned, I picked up from my friend Ike, and he picked them up from them. So, like, I don't watch a ton of YouTube really anymore. I watch it from time to time. I need to make sure that this guy's in the frame so you guys can see what I'm doing. But yeah, you're welcome to come and use my stuff, because I know that it can be a bit of money to get into. And you might be like, hey, you know what? This is neat. I painted one and I'm done with it. And now I don't want to do it anymore. You know what? Talk to your folks. Maybe you can come over tomorrow. I've got a gray horde of minis that need to be painted that you could just practice on and goof on. And if you're worried about messing up, don't be. You can normally get like 3 or 4 different coats of different colored paint on minis before they start to look thick and chunky. Carcos is his coat is like red. I think I made it brown and blue and purple before I settled on the red. I kept trying different colors and they just didn't look right. And so I just kept painting over it and over it and over it until I found one that I liked. This wash is really tying it together. No, it's like a burgundy red. Carcos Copperback is the best character in D&D, right behind Fang. And I will not budge on that whatsoever. And it's purely because Fang has a cooler name. I feel like I need a bigger brush. The washes also add a nice texture to it. They kind of smooth everything out and get rid of that. It's not quite glossy, but it like gets rid of that chalky texture that a lot of my apple barrel paints can start off with. And we're going to need to paint his claws. I'm using so much Agrex Earthshade on this guy. This is ridiculous. I think I might actually come back with some of that bright yellow and stipple a little bit of it back on top as a bit of a detail. Add some nice light yellow details. Yeah, for real. Honestly, I'm like actually glad to use some of this up. I don't use the Agrax Earthshade very much. It's normally way too dark for what I need from a brown wash, so I'm actually glad to use it up. Next Seraphim Sepia I buy is going to be a big 24-ounce tub because I use that stuff a lot. Not to be confused with Cherubim Sepia. How do you pronounce it? Is it sepia or sepia? Because I've heard it pronounced both ways, and I normally say sepia. Oh man, he's looking so good, guys. He's looking really good. He still looks very sepia. Sepia, yeah, that's what I say. It's S-E-P-I-A. It's like weird. S-E-P-I-A. Sepia tones. Now, he just looks like a big old nasty, dirty thing. Once we add the how are we doing on time? 10:19. Awesome, we're doing great on time. Once we get his eyes and we get his mouth on there, oh man, that red is going to be... Oh, his eyes are like solid yellow too. That's going to look cool. It's going to create a really neat contrast. I may have gone a little dark. I'm going to need to let them dry off though. So how's everybody enjoying the stream? You guys excited about this Hydra as much as I am? I'm ready to throw him at some players. He might actually work really well in the Feywild. I don't know. Like, I don't want to spoilers or anything, but a Hydra in the Feywild I think would make a lot of sense if it came to something like that. Let's do sun yellow. Yellow notoriously, just like by its own as a paint, doesn't typically cover well. It tends to be really thin and a really difficult paint to work with. Ugh. Drying up for. Hey, Jalapeno! Welcome to the stream. I didn't see you on there. Alright, his tail is still drying. I'm going to do some very mild, very light, ooh, that's way too much, very light stippling of yellow around the neck. Just to kind of sweeten up some of that underside highlight. Or like the, the yellow belly. Yeah, yellow-bellied Hydra. Oh man, yeah, Feyre's Heart's Desire. That was a twist. The crazy thing is that, you know, we might not, that might not come up at the table until later. Yeah, I think this guy needs some more highlights underneath. I probably should have made the primer shadow a bit lighter instead of black. I'd like to get some gray primer actually and start priming with gray instead of black. Sometimes I think the black is a bit too stark. I'm really digging this mottled brown and yellow and green, and it's really looking cool. And this yellow is so it's so thin that it actually goes on kind of transparent, and that has the added benefit of just kind of lightening up what's already there instead of covering it in yellow. Yeah, I was kind of, I was kind of sad a little bit too, because you get used to a character and you're used to having him around and hate to see him go. And I really didn't want. She had kind of been she had been put in a bit of a, you know, an impossible situation, and I didn't want to. Like I kind of felt bad because it was just a roll of the dice that it was up to her. Um, and so I wanted to make sure that she was like absolutely sure that that's what she wanted to do. Because we're all telling really cool stories and everything, but we're also friends having fun playing a game. And and if it's not fun, if you're not enjoying it, then you don't want to not have fun for the sake of the story. You want to have fun because the story's fun. If that makes sense. I was talking to Amanda a little later about like what would it have been like if Resphira had gotten that opportunity. Like what would she have done? That would have been a tough situation. Like what if Fang was in there, Andre? And like would you have given him up? Played a different character? But that's the thing about the Eternal Staircase is that it doesn't really have a mind of its own, but it kind of acts like it does sometimes, um, and it doesn't like it almost acts like it doesn't like to be intruded upon. Like it doesn't. It's this branch, this connection between all of the different planes. I don't know, man. Karkos would have just yawned and walked by. I mean, you know your character better than I do, but like his heart's desire. The tricky thing about that is that it's like it's unique to them. You know, to see somebody else and their them have their heart's desire. It's like well, that's not what I would want. But it's like, oh, well, what would you want though? But the thing also is that it's like you can achieve your heart's desire somewhere else. It would just be through effort. This would just be like an easy way to do it. So I could see a situation where somebody would be like, no, I don't want it just given to me. I want to earn it. You know, I could see a situation like that being pretty neat. All right. Let's put him under the fan. We're going to do something really exciting now. We're going to paint black on a base. So exciting. Actually, I'm going to pull out a bigger brush. We're going to paint a back, a black base black. Wow, that's a tongue twister for me. We're going to paint a black base black. See if you can say that 5 times fast. Black base black, black base black. Well, now I'm already practicing it. I know it's mind-blowing, right? It is. It's already black, and we're painting it black again. It's madness. But the reason we're doing it is because this is black PLA plastic, and like I don't like the finish of the plastic. I like to give them a coat of paint. There we go. All done. Wind up saying, "Aha, you almost got me to say it." No, I didn't. Didn't say it. But you typed it. It's immortalized. You'll forever be known as the mod who said those two words together. All right. I'm smart. I know what's up. All right, so we still have a little bit of wash here on the tail that needs to dry. Head's looking okay. All right, I'm gonna do, I've already got some yellow out. Let's go ahead and do his eyes. Nope, can't delete the VOD. You have to wait 2 weeks. You have to convince everybody not to watch my channel for 2 weeks. But then you'd be a terrible mod. So either way, you're going to be a terrible mod. Man, you put yourself into a really unfortunate catch-22. What you going to do, man? What you going to do, man? Nothing dies on the internet. Everything lives forever on the internet. That's the first rule of the internet. I made some new music. I just haven't rendered it out yet. I was tinkering around with some drums and some percussion. What'd you get bored for, Brad Chan? Oh, you were bored because you were away. I mean, painting Hydra eyes and watching mod drama is the place to be. This is peak entertainment here. So I'm just dabbing these eyes with a little bit of white. Because again, this yellow is very translucent. So if I hit them with a little bit of white, almost like giving them a new base coat of white, then I put yellow on top of them, it'll make it look like a very vibrant yellow. At least that's my hope. We'll see if it works. Keep hitting the edge. Okay. We're in the home stretch. No, I got a little white around the eyelid. Okay, I think I got it off. One last one. One last teeny tiny head. There we go. Is that all of them? 1, 2. Oh, no, missed that one there. All right, so we got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Nope, missed that one. So what do you think the party should do? You guys have all seen the, I think most of you have seen, let me look at the chat real quick. Andre, Reghan. You guys have all seen the stream, with probably the exception of you, Jalapeno. What do you think the party should do? Do you think that they should go to the Feywild and see what's going on with the pink tendrils of miasma and see what's going on with Feyre and what happened to her home? Or do you think they should, like, go back to the material plane and try to fight the Black Spider? Well, that's not a helpful answer. You need to have opinions and be divisive. You rascals. I'm just tinkering right now, waiting for the eyes to dry. They should be dry now. It normally doesn't take too incredibly long for little dots. The tendrils were like that purple mist were like in big tendrils of mist. Essentially, it's checking out what's going on in the Feywild. I mean, the interview is going to be hard for them to get a job at the post office with, is, you know, they didn't leave a good first impression. You know what? I don't like the yellow eye. It's got way too much yellow on it already. It just looks really off. I like the white eye better. I think the white eye gives it some better contrast. And I think I might just leave it like a solid white pupil. Yeah, I don't like the yellow eye. All right, well, let's get some red on him. We're gonna do some bloody red for the mouth and tongue. Now this is not blood for the blood god. We'll put some of that on later. This is just a red paint. Let's pick one of these mouths. Let's do the small one on the bottom first. Oh, butts. Forgot to do something. I want to thin this down a little bit. Oh, is that what it is for a high five? I thought it was just like raising a hand like you had a question in school. I guess that makes sense either way. Now this little alligator skin flap thing on the side of its mouth, I'm going to paint it red first, but we're actually going to come back with some pink and kind of lighten that up. And what we'll probably do is base coat this all in blood red. And then we'll come back and wash it with Carrollsberg Crimson. And then we'll do some pink highlights. Probably hit its gums on the outside. You'd be surprised at how much painting gums on a creature, like, it's like one of those little details that adds a big difference. Try that again. The lizard face, I love it. Hey, do you wanna scope out a stream to raid? I'd love to. Yeah, let's give him a raid. We've got 15 minutes or so. I don't think we're gonna finish this guy tonight. We're really close though. A raid is it's a Twitch thing. So it's like once I finish my stream here, if I set up a raid for another channel, it'll automatically push, like once I stop my stream, it'll automatically push everybody viewing over to the other channel, and normally you guys will hop in chat and say, hey, welcome, hey from Washburnello, or or whatever like that. Just make them. It's kind of like streams supporting each other. It's actually really fun, and I actually really enjoy when I'm in a stream that does a raid. And I've really this stream's really benefited from it. I wouldn't have gotten to know the Wing Badger guys if they wouldn't have raided my channel that one time. No, not that kind of raid. Yeah. I normally stream till 11. Let me finish up the rest of these mouths here. Like get the red on them. We got this one here and then that one. And we'll do a raid. That'll be fun. Lucram, if you would, once you find a stream to raid, let me know a little bit about it here so I can kind of like shout it out in the video before we pop over there. Also, I've never done a raid before, and I think I have to do it from my admin console. So I'll need to like look them up and stuff. All right, one more. It's probably a good thing we're stopping too, because I feel like I'm getting a little sloppy with these. Probably been painting a lot. Maybe I'm just getting tired. All right, that's it. Check it out, guys. Isn't it really starting to come together with like the eyes and the white from the eyes and the red from the mouths? Like before, it just kind of looked like a yellow and green and black like mess, but like, oh man, it looks so good. Dang, it looks so good. And once there's white on the teeth, like that's really gonna pull it together. That's gonna be, oh man, it's gonna be great.